Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Topics with Tim. As you can see here, boom, my logo. This is an emergency podcast. Me and Steven strung this together today. I'm going to be getting this. This has jumped to the top of my priority list. I'm going to get this edited and posted today because this is big, amazing, phenomenal news. I could not be more excited, more happy with the news today that Rob Gronkowski, who I think is the best tight end to ever lace him up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll have an argument about that. Is joining Tom Brady, who the greatest quarterback of all time by far, my favorite player of all time by far. Those of you who know me know that I sing Tom Brady's praises. There's Jesus, and then Tom Brady is a close second to Jesus in my life. So couldn't be more excited. Rob Gronkowski is going to be joining the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was traded today. He was traded with a 7th round pick. No, he was traded. Yeah, he was traded with a 7th round pick to the Buccaneers for a 4th round pick to the Patriots. So it's honestly a great deal for both sides, I think. I mean, the Patriots literally got a 4th round pick from someone who wasn't even going to play for them anymore. So a free pick for them. And now Tom Brady and Gronkowski, the dynamic duo, are reunited in Tampa Bay. And I am so freaking excited. Oh my gosh. And by the way, so I forgot to. So Steven, I brought Steven on the pod today. I needed to do an emergency pod, and I hit him up. I'm like, Steven, we got to talk about this right now. This is pressing stuff that people need to hear about. So I brought Steven, my NFL guy, on the pod today. So Steven, how are you today? And how are you feeling about this trade?
Dude, I'm elated. I'm so excited right now. This is big news. I mean, we'll see what happens. Bruce Arians, he has a lot to work with over there, but I want to get your perspective and I want to hear you out. How do you feel Bill Belichick? What do you think he's feeling right now? How do you think he's looking at this situation? Is he pounding the table like we need to go into this draft and find the next Rob Gronkowski? Like, how do you feel like he's approaching the situation? Do you think he's mad? Do you think he's angry? Do you think he's happy? Like, what's going on with that?
I'm pretty sure Bill is probably his same stoic self as usual. He probably doesn't really care that much. He's probably happy that he basically got a free 4th round pick. That's probably what he's thinking. He's like, sweet, I just got a 4th rounder for nothing. Awesome. And I think you told me before the pod that they have 12 picks this year.
Yeah.
So I think Bill is probably feeling pretty good, probably feeling excited about getting a chance to kind of rebuild. And that's always fun for anyone, a GM person, to like get to rebuild is kind of fun. I don't know if have you watched the MJ? I know this is a little bit off topic, but it'll relate, I swear. Did you watch the MJ documentary?
I have not watched the MJ documentary or Tiger King. I need to do those two things.
Watch the MJ documentary. It's amazing. It relates because Jerry Krause, who was the general manager of the Bulls at the time, he was so like wanting to rebuild that he basically like told all his players and Phil Jackson, like, you're done after this year. And so I think it kind of relates on like Bill. I think Bill's probably excited to be rebuilding again because that's fun. That's always fun for a general manager to like restart and get young guys and draft picks. Whereas Bill's kind of been for the last number of years just, okay, let's get some veteran guys in here. Let's get some people to support Brady. And kind of Brady's been running the show. And so now he gets a chance to sort of show his stuff again on like how he can build a team. But unfortunately, like with Jerry Krause's problem with the Bulls, sometimes those guys who are like rebuilders, they start too soon. And they give up on what they have in the present. And that was Jerry Krause's problem with the Bulls. And I think that is Bill Belichick's kind of curse as well, that he's almost like too eager to rebuild. But at this point, I'm sure he's probably pretty happy he gets to flex his rebuilding muscles and see what he gets to do. So he's probably pretty happy. How do you think he is doing with all this?
Well, Tim, if I was Bill Belichick, I would be heated. Sending over arguably the greatest tight end of all time to Tampa Bay with arguably, not even arguably, the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. Like, what was Bill Belichick thinking? Like, he could have prevented this trade from happening. And in my opinion, a 4th round pick, sending over the greatest tight end, arguably the greatest tight end of all time, to Tampa Bay. I mean, you better just bring Edelman over there. You better bring just Rex Burkhead, like bring the whole squad over there. Like,
I was gonna say, who's next? Who's coming over next?
But Tim, this tells us not everyone likes the Patriot way. Like, Rob Gronkowski literally said, Bill Belichick, not to his face, but with his actions said, I don't want to play for you anymore. And so I'm going to go out of retirement. I'm going to join the WWE, which I think that kind of brought his stock down a little bit. It looks crazy. WWE, like no fans. Like what's going on there, man? But bro, Gronk is back in the NFL. This is crazy news.
Yes.
There's so much we have to
Yes.
talk about.
Ah!
Like, this is insane, bro.
I think this, my first thought when this whole thing went down, first of all, I'm pumped. Brady and Gronk are like one of the best player tandems ever. Just the amount of, and we'll talk about it later, some of the clutch performances and clutch catches these guys have shared over the years is just incredible. It's historic. But I think that this really, I know Bill as a person, he's pretty insulated. Like, I don't think he's somebody that really cares about what other people think. So he's pretty insulated. He's not going to worry about what me or any Joe Schmo thinks about him. However, I do think that this makes him look really bad. And I think this shows that I think he is losing touch with his players. I think it started a couple years ago when he kind of was the Jerry Krause. He had the best quarterback of all time on his team and a great team. And we all know that he wanted, and we talked about this on a different pod that'll be posted later. We know that he wanted to trade Brady. He wanted to trade Brady away and start with Jimmy Garoppolo because he's the rebuilder guy, wants to rebuild. They get in their own heads with that and they lose the present moment. If Bill had gotten his way, no Super Bowl appearance against the Eagles, no Super Bowl championship against the Rams, right? Those two Super Bowl appearances and championships gone if Bill had his way and we had Jimmy Garoppolo. And honestly, I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo would have got it done. I don't honestly think so. He just lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Jimmy had like all the help in the world. He had literally the best defense in the NFL by far on his team. So again, this shows I think Bill is losing a little bit of touch with his players. You look at this, Gronkowski, right, was willing to retire, not play NFL football anymore if it meant he had to play for the Patriots, right? Even if Brady got signed with the Patriots, I guarantee you he would not have played for the Patriots. Guaranteed. I believe it wholeheartedly. Yeah. The moment he has a chance to go play with his quarterback, who he's had his entire career with, is on a different team, boom, he's out of retirement instantly. This shows Bill is losing touch. He's losing touch with his players. He's losing touch with how to treat his players. I think, is losing touch a little bit as a GM. His draft picks have not been nearly as good over the past couple of years, which is why the Patriots are kind of in dire straits right now as far as talent. I guess we'll see if he can, rebuild and start everything over. But I think this makes him look really bad.
But Tim, and I think that we're missing the point here is we're always like focusing on Bill Belichick. And I feel like no one's giving Tampa Bay credit. Like, this is absolutely like amazing for any Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Gronk, bro.
Best moment in their history.
To have Brady, to have Mike Evans, to have Chris Godwin, like, man.
Cameron Brate, super underrated tight end. Cameron
Brate, yeah. I think he's actually a little bit better than O.J. Howard, but O.J. Howard's been in the league a little less longer than Cameron Brate. But, man, we have to look at the Tampa Bay side. Everyone's overlooking. They're looking at what is Bill Belichick doing? How is he responding? We're saying, how is this going to make him look? Are the Patriots going to be able to rebuild? No one's really talking about Tampa Bay and the stacked team they have now. No one's talking about Bruce Arians and how great of a coach he is with quarterbacks. Like, he's not only getting Tom Brady, but he's a great coach in of himself. Look at what he did with Carson Palmer in Arizona. Like, he really made him a good quarterback.
They went to the Super Bowl, didn't they? No, that was with Kurt Warner. Sorry.
That was with Kurt Warner, but he made him a great quarterback. Yeah, Bruce Arians has dealt with health issues, but he's over there in Tampa Bay. And I think both of us, we watch football. Jameis Winston is not a good quarterback. And Bruce Arians –
I still believe in Jameis.
Bruce Arians with that offense, he really, minus the interceptions with Jameis Winston, he made him produce on the field. He gave him, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
Yeah.
But 30 touchdowns, that's an accomplishment, and it's because of Bruce Arians.
Yardage, too. I think he led the league in over 5,000 yards.
Yeah. So we need to look at Tampa Bay, man. We need to look at their offense. We need to look at their coach. We need to look at that organization. Amazing job by them. And now getting one of the greatest tight ends to play the position, to play in football. Yeah, and you're right. I don't think he would have gone to New England.
Nope.
Because New England doesn't have the surrounding pieces. And I think it's more – and I think all this has to do with the surrounding pieces. I think Tom Brady was like looking bigger picture. What do I have on the outside? because there were reports early on that New England wanted to trade for Stephon Diggs. They tried, and he didn't, and it fell through. There were reports that they tried to bring a wide receiver there. But I think it's more so Tom Brady looking to the future, being smart Tom Brady, intelligent Tom Brady, you know. I need to go somewhere where there's wide receivers on the outside because he's honest with himself. He knows he can't play without top elite wide receivers. And so he's like, let's go, Gronk. And you know Tom Brady called Gronk.
Oh yeah, I read a report that he was heavily involved in making this happen. I don't know the specifics of that, but I'm assuming he was probably in contact with Gronk. Was probably like, "Yo, dude, come over here, bro. Like, look at what we have. This is gonna be fun. Even if we don't win a Super Bowl, I don't care. This is gonna be fun." Our offense last year, God, couldn't watch it. I mentioned in one of our other pods that stat about how no Patriots receiver was in the top 100 of time to get open, like receiving. And now you get Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, two giant fast receivers. You get Cameron Brate, underrated, massive target. Gronk's coming back. O.J. Howard still has potential, although he might get traded now that Gronk is in town. They need a running back for sure. A pass catching. James White. Where's James White? They should just trade James White over to the Bucs as well. I mean, let's get Edelman. Let's get James White. Let's get the whole squad back on. But
the thing is, and if you look at it, Ronald Jones could be that James White. Like they have pieces. When you have Tom Brady, everyone around you's better. So you're gonna see Ronald Jones's production go up. You're gonna see O.J. Howard's production go up. You're gonna see Mike Evans' production go up. You're gonna see all these players, their production go up. And that's the insane thing is Mike Evans' production is already up. Like Chris Godwin, he's already balling. Like so, man. I
don't know if that's 100% true. Just because you look at Winston, 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. I don't know if Brady can get that. So I don't know if necessarily stat wise it might not be as fruitful, but overall as a team and winning and competitiveness, it's going to be a whole different story. What I was worried about when Brady went by himself was the Bucs are literally the most losing franchise in all of sports. The most losing franchise. Can one guy, as great as Tom Brady is, turn that whole culture around? I honestly was really worried about that. I thought only one guy can only do so much to change a whole organization's culture for their entire history. Now that Gronk's there, I'm more excited because now you're taking another guy, another potential GOAT candidate that we'll talk about. Now you got two GOATs together on one team. That is going to really drive culture change there, having those two guys. Everyone's going to look at those two guys and be like, we want to be like those two guys. We want to pick those guys' brains. We want to do the things they do. We want to see the way they practice, the way they prepare. Having them together, I think, is going to be huge for just driving a massive culture change for Tampa Bay to be like, we're winners now. We're winners, and we got to act like it and do what we need to do to win. Brady by himself, I was a little worried. Now with Gronk, I think that's huge for just really driving the culture change there. Super excited. Oh, my God. But again, I still think that it makes Bill – I think Bill's losing this breakup right now really bad. And I think that eventually he could, if he drafts really well and develops another great quarterback and they're back in the playoff hunt in the next year or two, then he'll look a lot better. He'll look like he's, but right now he looks like he's losing this breakup awfully. He just lost two of the greatest players of all time from his team, kind of because of him in a way. I mean, it's not fully. I mean, I know that money was an issue. I know that team, assets were an issue, but I think a big part is Brady's relationship with Bill soured after Bill wanted to trade him, even though Brady knew he had 2 to 4 great years left. And then now Gronk, willing to retire just to not play for Bill. And now, it just shows you what's going on, Bill. Maybe that some change needs to be made. As great of a coach as he is, there's something that's not right.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about how bad Bill Belichick analyzes talent in the draft. Like he doesn't draft well. And
he does. The last couple of years he hasn't. For most of his career, I think he has actually done pretty well. But
do you think so though?
I do. I do believe that he's drafted really solid. Like his offensive lines have always been solid. His defenses have always. I mean, he's more of a
Okay,
defensive guy anyway. So his
so
defenses have been.
I'm more so looking on the offensive side of the ball because that's the
He
reason
struggles.
why
100%.
that's the reason why Tom Brady left. If there's no offensive weapons around him, dude, he had a scrub in N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry, I'm gonna call it what it is now. He's gonna be a bust. He's not gonna be good. They don't have any weapons, bro. And Tom Brady got fed up. But the thing we're missing here is the professionalism of Tom Brady. This man has just they have not treated Tom Brady right. The GOAT quarterback. They didn't give him a contract he wanted. And this man doesn't say anything wrong about him. He says, "Thank you, New England. Thank you for everything you've done." Just the professionalism by Tom Brady. That's what you see in the greats. That's what you see in the Michael Jordans. That's what you see in the great players. You see the professionalism of being like, okay, this didn't work out. I have feelings. I want to say them sometimes, but I'm just going to go ahead and go on to Tampa Bay. I'm going to bring one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game, right? I'm going to do that. And just the professionalism of Tom Brady. Like, I'm a Raiders fan. You know it. Everybody on this podcast, just listen. I'm a Raiders fan. I hate the tuck game. I think that's BS. And I'm sorry if I said that on
That rule. I think that rule is a terrible rule, and it got removed after that. So
yeah, but
terrible rule.
Coming from a Raiders fan and a football fan, Tom Brady, poster child. That's what you want to see in a quarterback. That's what you want to see in a leader. Just professionalism for sure.
And I also think about what a great recruiter he is.
Well, yeah.
I mean, really, I mean, the players that he's like recruited to come to the Patriots over the years, and just seeing him recruit Gronk is just, I mean, again, you know me, I've been touting Brady for like the last 10 years, 8 to 10 years. I talk about him all the time. I've read his book, TB12 Method. If you want to read a book, I'm telling you, read that book. It will give you so much hope. If you've ever struggled with injuries before, which I, over the last couple of years, have really struggled badly with some bad injuries. Read that book. You will be hopeful. You will see the hope in your situation, and you will see how a guy who's 43 has barely been hurt at all and has managed to avoid surgeries other than his one, big ACL, MCL tear. And I think 08 has been really injury free for the most part. And so I'm telling you, read his book. It's awesome. You'll find hope with your injuries. It's helped me a ton mentally and physically. And so so it's cool to see him like just continue to do what he's doing. And like I said, be professional, be just a great stand-up guy. No one's perfect, of course. He has his flaws. I'm sure if I met him in person, maybe I'd have a different take on him. No one's perfect, of course, but.
So what happens if it doesn't work? Tim, what happens if Tampa Bay falls just flat on their face? Because we see similar situations, right? The Philadelphia Eagles stacking up their team. Everyone thinks, oh, Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that. We see the Cleveland Browns, right? Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry. Yes, Tom Brady is by far way better than Baker Mayfield. But the point I'm trying to make is we see the hype in the offseason. And sometimes it does not translate on the field. Raider fan, right? Marshawn Lynch come out of retirement. Derek Carr just had one of his best seasons ever. 2016, almost won the MVP. Everything was looking good. Came out of retirement. I'm not trying to compare them. Like, I'm trying to just give like you a picture of what we're looking at here of paper champs. What happens if this doesn't work? How does this make Brady look if this doesn't work? How does this make Brady look if he doesn't even make the playoffs? How does this make him look? Is he still the greatest quarterback of all time? So that's what I'm trying to say here is I think there is a risk in Tom Brady not retiring because the legacy can kind of change. If Bill Belichick goes on and has like a great season, takes him to the AFC Championship, and Tom Brady,
no way. They don't have really enough talent. They have to draft the best draft in their history.
But the risk. But we're going to find out if Bill Belichick was the reason for the success. So I think there is a little bit of risk to this move of Tom Brady still continuing to play football. I mean, they're going to have fun. He has Gronk. He has all these weapons he needs. But we're going to find out, man. Like, I think there's a risk.
I got a question for you. Do we ever talk about Joe Montana's time in Kansas City? Does anyone ever really talk about that? Or do we look at Joe Montana, 4 out of 4 Super Bowls, like 80s and early 90s, dominant quarterback, one of the best ever? What usually gets mentioned?
Yeah, but in
Right?
my opinion,
We maybe short term you remember the Chiefs days for Joe Montana, but long term you forget about that. You don't
but that's
care.
my point
You
I'm
just
trying
look
to
at
make.
his dominance with the Niners and you say, I mean, he was the GOAT before Brady surpassed him, but I think even if he does have a couple bad years, I think in time people forget. People won't
Yeah,
remember those, and they'll
and he
just
was
remember, dude, 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl rings, dominance for almost 20 years of like basically making the playoffs every year. People are going to forget about this end if it's not a good end. So
and
I don't think there's a lot of risk, to be honest. I think look at Peyton Manning, although he did go out with a Super Bowl, which is pretty cool. He also had a
he didn't win that,
couple.
but he
He was,
didn't win
everyone
that.
knows he was awful
He didn't
his
do anything.
last
Yeah.
couple of years there, but we forget about that. We're a couple years from now, we're going to forget about that. We're just going to imagine Peyton Manning best ever for 10, 15 years, being in playoff game after playoff game, winning a Super Bowl, going to another one, winning another one. I mean, we're going to forget. And so I don't think there's a lot of risk, to be honest. I think there's a lot of reward. Imagine if he has another fantastic year, wins another. I mean, imagine if he wins another Super Bowl or even makes a great playoff run. I mean, we're going to be
Yeah.
like starting to start a Tom Brady a cult to start worshiping him as a legitimate like demigod.
So, but I think there is a risk, and I'm to the belief that I believe that Bill Belichick might be retiring soon. I think this
I
might be
agree.
the end of it, and I said that even when Brady. I said that all along. Like if they cut ties, it might go south for Bill Belichick. But I'm saying if Bill Belichick like does produce quickly, and Tom Brady doesn't within that 2 years, yes, Tom Brady will be forever tied to New England. But I think it would say more about like who Bill Belichick is than who Tom Brady is. Because if Bill Belichick can turn things around real quick,
Yeah.
I think it says more to like how great of a coach Bill Belichick would be. But yeah, we're never gonna. I agree with you that we're never gonna forget the dynasty, the legacy that Tom Brady leaves behind. Like he's the greatest quarterback. No one could argue that. I mean, he's produced on the biggest stage yet. Like it's amazing just to see him go out and just dominate at like crucial times, even when his back is against the wall. It's like he just has that in him, you know. Like he's just a great player, man. And I agree with that. But I think it would say more to Bill Belichick if Bill Belichick finds a way to get a squad together quickly.
This, I mean, this
But
is for
Tom
us as
Brady,
NFL fans. This is the dream.
yeah,
This is
but
the
Tom
absolute
Brady,
dream. We get to now see Bill Belichick without Brady to see what he does. How fast can he rebuild? How quickly can he build a great quarterback and build another championship run? We get to see him without Brady, and now we get to see Brady without Bill. We get to see. I mean, this is the NFL. This is our dream to really be able to see how these guys do apart from each other. I'm I love it. I honestly think I think Bill is set up to be exposed. And like I said, I love Robert Kraft. I love Bill Belichick, so I will still be rooting for the Patriots, but I think I will probably be rooting for the Bucs a little bit more, just because again, I'm more of a I root for players more than I root for teams, and Brady being my favorite player of all time. Uh, but probably close tie with Brett Favre. They're two of my favorites of all time,
oh
and
Brett Favre.
I think I
So
got to
I
root
think
for at least the
I think
short term
together,
success
right?
of Brady
Yeah.
over the Patriots right now because I want to see the heights that Brady can go. So
Well, so in my opinion, with this whole Gronk trade, I think it's more of um, revealing that Bill Belichick is just prideful. I think he's saying, go over there if you want to. Then I think he's like, give me my fourth round pick, go over there, play with him. And I think you're right, man. I think we might see just the destruction of Bill Belichick. Like I would put my cards more on Tom Brady. I would put all my money on Tom Brady over Bill Belichick because let's not overthink this, man. Like Tom Brady's not like he's not. I don't think he's assistant quarterback, and I think that's what people are trying to see is if he's going to go to Tampa Bay and it's going to be like, oh, he was assistant quarterback. Because you look at Bill Belichick with Cleveland, he didn't really succeed. He was the head coach there, you know. So I feel like with Bill Belichick, I think we both know this pride comes before the fall. And I think that we're seeing a prideful, arrogant head coach that is just going to do things his way. Robert Kraft wanted to keep Tom Brady.
Thank God he did. Thank God he did.
There's
They'd have one less Super Bowl, one less Super Bowl appearance.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
they'd have
so
Jimmy G, who, I mean, the jury's still out on him whether or not he's going to be a successful quarterback.
yeah, that's a little like I feel like we already know Jimmy G is who we already know what he is. They hide him in San Francisco. They have a great defense, but to my point, I think that Bill Belichick is I think that was out of pride. I think that go over to Tampa Bay. You want to go play with him? Go. Like I'm gonna do things on my I'm gonna do things over here. I'm gonna rebuild over here. And like I said, I don't think we should overthink this. I think that in all reality, Tom Brady is gonna come out the winner.
I agree. I'm still rooting for Bill. Like I said, I don't wish Bill ill. He's one of my favorite coaches of all time. I love the way that he treats everyone the same, that he
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily give star players special treatment, which is maybe part of the reason why they're upset and want to go. Maybe they don't feel like they're getting enough treatment that they deserve. And but the flip side of that is, I mean, if you don't maybe treat your stars a little bit better, then they'll leave. And so you kind of have to find the balance there of still making them like one of the guys, but not, but still maybe giving them, because they are the better player and maybe they do deserve a little bit of extra, attention or money or whatever it is that coaches can do to make them happy. I think that I sort of lost my point for a second, but I
Yeah.
think Bill, I think, I've, if we're, if you're taking sides, Brady versus Bill, who's going to be more successful, who's maybe the better overall at their job. I think over the last few years, I've slowly gravitated more towards Brady because of, I mean, you look at in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, him benching Malcolm Butler, their starting cornerback all year long, just bench him. And I still haven't gotten a good reason. Maybe it was something disciplinary, but I'm like, you got to have some grace. I mean, even if there was some sort of discipline thing, I mean, Malcolm Butler literally won you a Super Bowl. He had that interception against the Seahawks to win you a Super Bowl. Like, even if he did mess up, have some grace, Bill. Like, you don't need to stick to your rules like 100% of the time, all the time. Like, this is the Super Bowl. This guy's won you a Super Bowl in the past. That game was so close, could have gone either way. Maybe Malcolm Butler makes the difference because that game was the offenses were going crazy in that game. And again, I don't know the full reason behind it, so I can't fully judge, but just the fact that they benched their starting quarterback all year long. And I'm like, Bill, like, have some grace, bro. Like, I don't understand. Like, it just, that move made no sense to me. Then again, we talked about the rift where he wanted Jimmy, would have passed up on 2 more Super Bowl appearances and a championship. You look at the recent drafts, N'Keal Harry bust. Sony Michel had maybe sort of one good year. He's looking like maybe he's a bust. Offensive-wise, the talent hasn't been there. Guys are leaving left and right. Gronkowski's not going to even play for him. I'm like, Bill, something's going on, Bill. Like, Bill may need to make some changes because I think he's so stuck in his ways to where he's not adapting. You always have to adapt as a person, as a coach. You have to adapt to your team and adapt to new things, and you can't always be 100% stuck in your ways. And I do think Bill is being exposed. As much as I love him, and I think he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not the greatest coach of all time by far. But maybe it's starting to take its toll. Maybe he's.
What you look at like, for example, the Warriors, right? The Warriors lost KD. And KD, people could argue if he stays healthy. I know you might have your different opinions on this, but if he were to stay healthy, he can arguably be the greatest basketball player to ever play the game if he stayed healthy. I know you have your opinion on that.
We're talking Kevin Durant.
Yes, we're talking Kevin Durant. And so we look at the Warriors. They have pieces around them still. They have Curry. They have Thompson. They have Draymond Green. You look at the Patriots. They have nothing around them.
Yeah. And yet KD still chose to leave. What an idiot. Like, stay. They're going to win like 4 more championships if he freaking stays. Why would you go to Brooklyn with
I know, man. Like,
stay healthy on a team that hasn't won in decades? And oh my, that's a whole nother podcast for itself right there. Like, what a fool.
I know. But my point is, like, New England might be screwed, man. Like, this might be their downfall. They might go, I mean, okay, my opinion, I think at best New England, and again, I'm trying to see both sides of it, but in my opinion, I think at best 8-8 for New England, and I think at worst for Tampa Bay 11-5, and I think Gronk. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I think maybe even over 10 touchdowns.
Whoa. Interesting. And this is great. So let's make some predictions here. Let's go for some
Over or
predictions.
under?
So
Over or
let's
under?
predict. I think the Bucs go 10-6. I think that it'll take some adjustment. They have the strong division, and I think it'll take some adjustment. I think they go 10-6, make the playoffs. I'm optimistically maybe like NFC divisional or NFC championship, but even my heart feels like that's not really realistic.
Yeah.
Maybe the divisional round is what I'm like. Yeah, I could see that.
Tim, Tim, you don't think Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I honestly, if you're asking me, like, do I want them? Am I rooting 100%? Do I realistically think that you can just throw a bunch of dudes together in 1 year and win one? I don't think so. Even when Peyton Manning joined the Broncos, I think it took them. Didn't it take them? It took them like a couple years before, they were back.
Sure.
I don't think he went to the title his first year either when he joined the Broncos. I think the second year is where they have a chance to make a run. I think the first year,
he's already going to be like 45 years old.
it's Tom Brady, dude. Come on, we this guy's ageless. Come on, 1 year is not going to make that much of a difference on his stats.
We're all the body shuts down at some point.
I don't know, man. Read TB12 method, dude. I'm telling you. So I think, like I said, 10-6 divisional round, maybe NFC Championship game if they really just the match gets lit and the chemistry's there. That's probably my best. Second year is where they have a realistic chance, I think, of winning it. I think the Patriots.
I think it's now, Tim.
The Patriots win 5 games.
Tim, I think I disagree.
They're in full rebuild mode.
I think it's now. I think with Tampa Bay, you Super Bowl or bust, man. Because dude, we're gonna see the drop in production with Tom Brady. No, come on, let's be honest here. Like, he has weapons, but he's just gonna be 45 years old if you think he's gonna win in the second year of his contract. I think it's now, man. And I think what Tom Brady needs to do is he needs to go win a Super Bowl and not play that last year. And not play that last year and say, I brought you a championship.
Why would you stop though? If you win a title, I mean, as a player, I'm gonna play until the game kicks me out. I'm gonna keep playing until I'm terrible. Like, this whole notion that players need to retire when they're on top, screw that. Because you don't know where the top really is. I mean, for all you know, you could win it the next year, and that could be your top, right? Like, play until you can't play anymore, or until the game kicks you out because you can't compete anymore. Like, I play as long as you can until, like I said, the game literally pushes you out the door. Like, you're in the NFL. This is literally what people spend their entire lives, like, just trying to get to the NFL just for a game, just to play in one NFL game. This is what I mean. You'll go to your other job in the future, and you'll always look back on, dude, the NFL. When I got to play in the NFL, when I got to like screw this whole retiring on top. Play until the game shoves you out the door. Brett Favre did it. Good for him. He had a couple amazing last couple years with the Vikings where he almost won another Super Bowl. If it wasn't for the freaking Saints, bounties that they had going during the game where they're trying to injure him and stuff. He could have won that game. He could have won another Super Bowl. And you would have thought, well, maybe, he should have retired when, after his last run with the Packers or whatever. No, there was another top. And I'm glad he just kept fighting until literally he got pushed out the door. Good for him. Good for Brady. Do the same thing. Play till you're 49 and until they literally go, you're not making this team. You grandpa, get the heck out of here.
Okay, so Tim, let's play over or under.
Okay.
All right? We'll do different players. Over or under Gronkowski, 10 touchdowns or less?
Under. They won't use him as much. The Patriots, even the Patriots kind of were they didn't use him all the time. They really picked their spots with him. So I think they'll do the same. He has an injury history and is coming out of retirement. So I think definitely under. What do you think? Over
or under?
What do you think? Over under?
I think I want to say the over because I think they're going to utilize him in the red zone a lot. And I know they like dink and dunks. Like, I know Tom Brady likes to do short passes too. I think they're going to use him in the red zone.
Can you imagine though? Who our defense is going to double? You going to double Mike Evans? You going to double Chris Godwin? You going to double Rob Gronkowski? Dude, it's going to be crazy. Maybe he does get over 10. I still think under 10, but you say over. All right, over under. Let's say
50 receptions.
over under 25 touchdowns for Tom Brady. Touchdown passes.
I feel like if I say under, he's not gonna produce. But I feel like, dang, that's a good one, man. I want to say over under 25 touchdowns.
You can also push. I was going to push. I was going to say he'll get about 25.
I'll say over.
Over. Okay.
I'll say
Over under 3,500. No, we'll go 3,700 passing yards for Tom Brady. Over under. Under. Ooh, I'll probably say over on that one. I say it gets around like 38 to 39. Over under. If you think of another over under, say it. Because I'm making these
over
up.
under receptions. What?
How about over under Gronk receptions? I'll go 65 over under.
You have to go under for sure.
Man, shoot.
Because we both know the durability. We both know the durability, bro.
I know.
Like, and
I'm
they're not
gonna
going
say under as well, even though I'm torn though on that one. I could see him I think he'll get in the 60s, but probably under, maybe like 63. He'll be like right under. Man, probably less than. I don't know, because I don't know. He only got like what 40 something receptions his last year with the Pats, because again they
He only had like 3 touchdowns.
In fact, let's go into. So I wanted to go into like specifically more on Gronkowski. I want to look at kind of his career stats, and then kind of have a talk of maybe what some of his best games were, and also is he the best tight end of all time? Actually, let's stick with that. Is he, in your opinion, is Gronk the best tight end of all time? Hold on, Steven. We're getting some bad Wi-Fi right now.
Oh, damn, you gotta hit me with this one. Is he the greatest tight end? Is he the greatest tight end of all time?
Is Rob Gronkowski the greatest tight end of all time?
So I think I'm gonna say no. I think that I'm gonna make the argument that Tony Gonzalez is still the greatest tight end of all time. I'd say he's second to Tony Gonzalez, and I say that because I feel like Tony Gonzalez had less to work with, and he produced more consistently. He had quarterbacks like Trent Green and Matt Ryan. I think we both know that Trent Green and Matt Ryan aren't Tom Brady. Matt Ryan's not a scrub, but Matt Ryan is not Tom Brady. And I feel like what we get out of Tony Gonzalez is consistency. I will say this, and I think we say this a lot of times with great players. If he was on the field for 16 games or even 15 games, I think there would be no question about it. He'd be the greatest tight end of all time. But because of durability, because of the fact that Tony Gonzalez jumped to different teams and different quarterbacks and still produced at a high level, I think I'd have to say Tony Gonzalez.
It depends on how. For me, it depends on how you view the greatest tight end. If you are looking over like the whole career and you're deciding who was the best, you could definitely make the argument for Tony Gonzalez. I mean, I'm looking at his stats right now: 15,000 yards over the course of his career. Looks like 1,325 receptions, 111 touchdowns. The dude played from 1997 till 2013. Looks like he only missed a game. That's it. He played it I'm looking at he's 16 for 16 year after year. This dude was as durable as they come. This guy was consistent, like you said, receptions 102, 104, 150, 118, 99, 106, 148, 116, 104. Oh, sorry, those are targets. Sorry, scratch that completely. 76, 93, 73, 63, 71, 102, 78, 73, 99, 96, 83, 70, 80, 93, 83. So consistency off the charts.
Absolutely.
Reliability off the charts. You can make that argument. I have a hard time calling him the best ever. And I think the best argument that you have that's really good is what did he have to work with, right? Trent Green, he didn't make the playoffs one season with the Chiefs, not one. Finally made the playoffs with the Falcons. So if he had played for a better quarterback, a better system, a better team, and he was in more playoff
Tom
games,
Brady.
then you could, because Gronkowski right now, the reason why I think he's the best, just postseason wise, has the most receiving yards of any tight end in postseason history, most touchdowns in any tight end in postseason history. And I mean, it's just tough because I would love to see Tony in more playoff games to see how he would have performed. So I could see like what does he do during the big game situations, and he didn't get those opportunities. And so I don't want to necessarily knock him for not getting those opportunities, but at the same time, Gronk did. And I think as a per game player, Gronk is more impactful just being on the field. However, again, if you look over the course of his career, there's definitely an argument to be made that Tony G is the best. I still think it's torn because I just think if I have one guy that I want on my team for a season to make a run, is Gronkowski easily. As much as I love Tony, Gronkowski's a better blocker.
But we don't
He's more
know if
impactful. But again, availability
we don't know if
isn't always
Gronk.
there.
And the thing is here, if you look at Tony Gonzalez numbers throughout his career, I'm telling you, they're consistent. You listed them down, and we see in 2011 that was Gronk's probably best year in the NFL. He had 17 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards receiving, and he had 90 receptions. And so we look at that, and then we progress throughout his career, and it's really inconsistent. And yeah, we take into factor durability. He misses a lot of games, and you already went down a list. Tony Gonzalez, if anything, he misses one game per season, and all the rest of the seasons he stayed completely healthy. And so, just the consistency, man. If I'm choosing, I want to have a consistent player. Like I said, from Gronk's position and from the perspective of looking at Gronk as the greatest tight end of all time, his greatest season was 2011. 17 touchdowns, over 1,300 yards, and 90 receptions. So, and then you look down the line, and just very inconsistent. So it's really a boom or bust when it comes to Gronk. Is he going to stay on the field? Is he going to stay healthy? But when he's on the field, like every other great player, when he's on the field, he's great. But I want consistency. When I'm looking at crunch time, I want someone that he's going to be out there. Like he's going to be out there. And if you take Tony Gonzalez and Rob Gronkowski, you know Tony Gonzalez is going to produce, and you know he's going to be great, and you know he's going to be available. So when I look at Tony Gonzalez versus Rob Gronkowski, but I say this, and I told you this off the air, I told you this off the podcast. If Gronkowski were to have the same durability, it wouldn't be a question. Wouldn't even be a question.
Agreed on that point. So if you were drafting and you got to start either Tony G or Gronk, you'd obviously go Tony G. Probably, right? Because you know that he's going to be more durable. I mean, we know what they are now, and if we're drafting them knowing that they're going to have the, it's so tough because I feel like Tony Gonzalez is that Roth IRA. He's that retirement fund that you keep putting money into, and yeah, you're not seeing a lot of like big results right away, but like at the end of the day, when you pull that money out of retirement when you're old, there's going to be a nice stack of money there waiting for you because it's just consistent and reliable and so at the end of the day you're getting like a consistent product. Gronk's more of like that short term, like that stock that you hit on that can be a little bit more volatile but can like have like immediate huge gains for you. So I still think Gronk's better just as a player, just the impact. It's all about impact. And if I'm a fantasy manager, if I'm drafting for my fantasy team, Tony G, without question, easiest decision I've ever made in my life because I know I'm getting consistent stats, consistent production, year in and year out for years. He's my first number one overall dynasty draft fantasy. However, if I'm an NFL GM and I need to win games, I need to keep my job, I need to win games, I need to win Super Bowls, it's Gronk. Even with the shorter career and not being as available, because just the impact, per game impact is massive. And I think there was a stat on Pro Football Reference called AV, which is, I think was, I forget what something value, applicable value. No, I forget the name of it now. Let me look it up again. Do you remember what I said? I forget what it was. It's like,
I forget what it was.
Shoot, I thought I had it pulled up to show it. So it's a stat called AV. I think it's like applicable value or overall value, something like that. And the difference between the two is like pretty drastic. Like Gronk's like 0.82, Tony Gonzalez like 0.56. And so you just look at the just being on the field, the impact that Gronk has had. There's another amazing stat that I found where they took the average catch. Gosh, I'm really having trouble. Here we go. I found it. So this is most career yards per target of all NFL players. So this is like these are things that when he catches the ball, he's gaining on average 9.9 yards per target. He's gaining a whole first down every time he catches the ball. Guess who's second? Guess who's second on that list? Julio Jones with 9.8. So we're talking he's in the realm of some of the best. Like we're looking. Deshaun Jackson's on here, who's like that speedy deep bomb receiver. So we're talking about this guy who's like massive in size, who's literally getting more yards per target than a Deshaun Jackson, who's literally only catching deep bombs. I mean, to me, that's pretty incredible and pretty impressive. And again, I think he's a better blocker overall. He's an elite blocker as well as an elite pass catcher. So you just look at if I have Gronk on my team and he's in the game, if I'm the other team, I have no idea if he's blocking or throwing because he's a great blocker. I know he's could be in there to block. He could go out and burn 2 of my corners for a touchdown. I have no idea. There's like, if you look at the Patriots offense without him, I mean, look at how much they've dropped off, right? Just having Gronk's presence, even though he only caught like 40 balls and 600 yards, look at the difference in offense. Edelman can't get open because they just double Edelman and they have nothing else. When Gronk's on the field, he demands a double team. He demands presence because he could either be in there blocking or catching. You have no idea. You can't predict. He's great at both. If Tony G's in the game, you know that he'll block, but you know that he's probably in there to catch passes. I think you can plan for that as a defense a little bit better to make sure he's guarded. Gronk, you can't plan. You have no idea. He's too good at both of those aspects to plan for. And that's why his impact via that stat is just so massive and how he opens things up for teams. So I think just as a player, I think it would definitely depend on my team situation at that time. But as a regular GM, NFL GM, it would be hard for me to go Tony G over Gronk just because I know Tony G maybe just not as impactful, but more consistent. Again, I mean, I wish that he had gotten more opportunities to play with better quarterbacks to see because maybe Tony G with Tom Brady maybe he's literally the greatest player ever.
Who's
so there's
Gronk?
definitely an argument to be made for that.
Who's Gronk with Derek Carr?
Say what?
Who's Gronk with Derek Carr? Who's Gronk with Kirk Cousins? Who's Gronk with Dwayne Haskins? Like who's Gronk with them? Because who is he? We know who he is, the greatest quarterback of all time, and we know who other people are with the greatest quarterback of all time. Who is Randy Moss with Marcus Tuiasosopo or whoever the Raiders had rolling out there? You know what I'm saying? Like who are these players because that's the argument with DeAndre Hopkins, bro, is he didn't have a good quarterback and he still produced at a high level. So who are these players when you don't have a great quarterback? Who are these players when you don't have great receivers? Who are these players when you don't have great players around you? Do you make them great or do you need, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I don't know.
100%. I so wish that I could see the alternate timeline if Tony Gonzalez had gone to a better quarterback where he could have been in some playoff games where we could have seen how he produced on the big stage. Because we know that Gronk has come through time and time again on the big stage. Just massive moments he's there. We look at that AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. He came through on that big third down to keep the drive alive so the Patriots could win the game. Massive catches. I was looking at his highlights today. Multiple fourth quarter. There was one in the AFC Championship game against Denver where he catches a 40-yard pass on fourth down to keep the Patriots in the game. They did eventually lose that game by 2 points. That game was insane. And so you see the game against the Eagles that they literally could have won the Super Bowl. He had, I think, 2 touchdowns, 100-something yards, was balling out. The dude comes through in the clutch time and time and time and time and time again. And it's just so incredibly valuable to know that that's there in those big moments. And I wish Tony G had the opportunity to see what he could do in those big moments. Because he's got a lot of nice stats, but all those stats are in regular season games. And I mean, who knows? I don't know how many winning seasons the Chiefs even had. Maybe a lot of those games were kind of meaningless games where they were just playing to play and they didn't really even have playoff hopes. I'd have to do a little more research digging to see how many, real critical games he played in and how he did. So it's just tough. I really wish we had those stats to look at. And so for that reason, I have to tip my hat to Gronk as far as just impact per game, impact in the postseason, coming through in the biggest moments possible. I'll take that over maybe some more stats and some more games played over a longer period of time.
So
But
do you think
it's a tough. Like I don't. If you want to say Tony G is the best, I have no like. There's no like. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Totally understand. Like, totally get it. I'd still say I think Gronk's the dude though for me.
So talking about like the future, who do you think has a good chance to surpass Gronkowski or Tony Gonzalez now? Like in the league, do you feel like there's
Nobody.
a person? Do you feel like George Kittle? Do you think Travis Kelsey? Like, do you think any of these tight ends in the league, the Darren Wallers, like, do you feel like they have a chance to kind of surpass the greatness that Gronk brings to the field? Like, do you feel like there's anybody like kind of about to step up and be that Gronk?
Honestly, no. There are some good tight ends out there, but I don't see it. I mean, look at who are the best tight ends right now? Travis Kelsey, who I think is a solid tight end, great tight end. But I mean,
They don't need to use him a lot though.
I don't see like the greatness. I don't see. I mean, he did just win a Super Bowl, so I guess good for him in that regards. But he does have Pat Mahomes and some amazing team there. But I mean,
But you
same
put
argument
Travis
with Brady, right?
Kelsey
Brady had
on the
Gronk,
new.
so I don't know. I haven't seen just the amount of greatness from Kelsey. I think he's been solid. He's been a really solid tight end, but I don't think anywhere approaching Gronk or Tony G in that regard. Do you see any tight ends in the NFL right now that you think have a chance? I know you're a Raider guy, so maybe Darren Waller has a chance.
I,
He looks pretty solid.
I would say Travis. I would say Travis Kelsey, just because you put him on an offense with Tom Brady. I think he has similar numbers to Gronk. I think they're very similar in the way they play too. So I would say Travis Kelsey for sure. But yeah, the production as far as like touchdowns is not there. Like Gronk definitely has way more touchdowns. I mean, he's played a little longer. Travis Kelsey just usually averages around 5 to 6 touchdowns. I mean, in 2018, he had over 10 touchdowns, so that was probably his best year as far as touchdowns. Receptions, he's usually around 80 to 100 receptions
Mm-hmm.
a year. So he's producing, obviously not the bang that you see in Gronkowski's 2011 season or the seasons he's played in the NFL, but I can see him being in the conversation at the end of his career of being up there because he is durable. He doesn't miss games. And we know what the Chiefs are. They're going to be a juggernaut. They're like Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. Like they have Patrick Mahomes, man. And if we're talking about up and coming quarterbacks that are gonna be in the conversation for greatest quarterbacks, I think you have to start talking about Mahomes, man. Like we'll see. But I think I've seen a
Yeah.
lot.
Long ways away from that, but
But okay, but I think I've seen a lot from Mahomes battling those injuries and winning a Super Bowl. Dude has grit.
There's, as I said, it's too easy, it's too early to tell, but
Dude,
Patrick
really tough.
Mahomes looks pretty incredible, pretty
Yeah,
dang incredible.
yeah.
He has a lot though. He'd have to do so much to surpass Brady, and I don't.
But
I
he would, but he's
really,
already won a Super Bowl, man.
I think we assume, and I think this is what makes Brady so great is the amount like he takes care of his body, like the Bible verse about your body is a temple. I mean, no one follows that better than Tom Brady.
For
Nobody.
real.
The way he eats and the way he trains and the way he studies and the way he researches and the way he tries to get every advantage he can for his body, which is why I admire him so much because I feel like I'm very similar in that way. I really strive for kind of similar. I'm not anywhere near as dedicated as him, but I strive to be. And I think we assume players take care of themselves really well, but I've watched a couple of those behind the scenes NFL shows, and I was shocked to see some of the stuff these guys eat. And nutrition for me, you know me, I'm very passionate about nutrition. I study it every day. It's something I'm very dedicated to. I was stunned by some of the stuff these pro athletes eat. I'm like, what? They're letting them eat that? Like, what? And like, we're talking whole tubs of candy that they can all go and like dig from at any time. I'm like, what? So I think we assume these players take care of themselves so well, and a few of them really do. And so I don't know how well Patrick Mahomes takes care of his body. So I don't know if like how long he'll really last. I don't think he has the dedication to treat his body and make the sacrifices Brady has made to last that long. There's not many people in this world that are willing to do that. There's very, very few.
Yeah, and
As much talent as he has, if he doesn't take care of his body in the same way, he won't have nearly the same length of career, and we won't be talking about him as one of the greatest ever, because you have to have a really, really long career to have that many opportunities to win Super Bowls and be able to have sustained production. And maybe he will. Maybe he'll take a page out of Brady's book and kind of follow Brady's plan, but
yeah,
it's so rare
yeah,
to see that.
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, I think that there's players, yeah, that take care of their bodies, and there's other players that are just naturally God given ability to play in the National Football League.
it only
Like,
lasts so long, though. You can
I
ride off
agree.
that. Some guys can ride off that for a while, but if you don't treat your body the way that Brady does, eventually Father Time will catch up, and will catch up sooner than it is for Brady.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I think we assume these players eat well. I think a lot of them don't. Honestly, I think a lot of them eat junk.
Yeah, they opinions. They eat food, like Jack in the Box. They eat like just fast food. They eat candy. Like,
Yeah, they're
but
human
how
beings, right? They're humans.
often? I know. I'm
It's
sure
tough.
some of these NFL players go to In-N-Out once or twice a week.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I probably would too.
I mean, I already do.
Oh man. Well, Steven, I just want to thank you for being on the pod today. This has been awesome. Again, I'm just super stoked about the NFL this year is going to be amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited for the NFL draft here coming up in a couple days. So that'll be a good. We'll have to do a pod on the NFL draft, post draft, kind of how we ranked people. And just so you know, I might be hitting you up during the day because I'm currently in a dynasty fantasy football league. We're drafting 55 players. We've got defensive players, offensive players. We've got a practice squad. So I might be hitting you up for some advice on some different picks. It's pretty gnarly, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the analysis of it. But anything you would like to say to our viewers before you go, Steven? Any last words, last argument? I'll let you have the last word if you want to refute anything I've said.
Nothing to refute. Just thank you for having me on here. I look forward to watching the NFL season with you. And let's see what happens with Tampa Bay. Let's see what happens with New England. Let's see Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady. Let's see what happens.
Our predictions, right? So I said 10-6 for the Bucs. You said, what was your Bucs prediction?
I said Bucs 12-4.
Bucs 12-4. I said Patriots win 5 games. What do you think?
8-8.
8-8. You think they'd be 500?
Yeah.
You might be more right on that. I think I might be too harsh right now on the Pats because their defense is still really good, even though they lost some guys. I'll stick with the 5 though, maybe 6, 5-6. Change a little bit, but we'll see we'll see how these predictions come true in the future, and maybe we still have what was our wager we made before? It was Diggs and Hopkins, right? Who would have the most fantasy points?
Yeah.
I said Hopkins. You said Diggs, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go, baby. The Bulls back. Come on. All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in to Topics with Tim. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to be on a pod, please hit me up. And I hope you guys enjoy your day. And man, just get ready for the draft. Let's go.